Hi, and welcome to this demo of the Starport blockchain image builder. What we're basically going to do here today is create a device image for a Raspberry Pi that contains a new blockchain. I'm not going to go too much into discussion, although I'll publish this, a link to this document from the YouTube video. Basically, you would use this if you want to ensure that your blockchain application is truly decentralized and sovereign by keeping it out of the cloud. So let's jump directly into action. So I should leave this Raspberry Pi here, reset the terminal. Okay, and so we are going to grab Starport fresh and clean. We're going to build it from source. Oh. We're also going to get fish. Everything's better with fish. Fish shell. And all right, so now we're compiling Starport. What that exactly does is it grabs a whole bunch of different Node.js dependencies for the front end of the chain that you're going to build. And it also builds a Go application that actually has those dependencies embedded in it using a tool called Packer. And the end result of this is that you have a little binary called Starport that can put a whole blockchain into your file system. That's sort of its most basic function, is templating out a Cosmos SDK chain. On top of that, you have the ability to add types and modules and kind of do some basic customization without coding. Now, what it does not do for you, of course, is write your application logic. So what you can kind of think of like, okay, where am I going to use Starport in creating my application is you can do it for just about everything up to the logic. And okay, now that it's built, the binary is going to pop up in the build folder. And we're going to rebalance the screen just a little bit. Let's call it there we go. All right, and the chain Clay 4 has been created. Let's have a look at what this did. Okay. We now have the layout for a blockchain. And we do like this. We can also see that there are folders .github and .py, and actually those are the two that concern us today. So we are going to add really simple blogging capabilities to our chain now. Okay, and we're going to do that /starport type post title body. Okay, done. So the chain Clay 4, it now has the ability to store like super simple blog posts. And what's next? Well, next we're actually going to go ahead and make a commit. Git commit, or sorry, git add dot. Just make sure all the files are in git commit dot dash m. Okay, and now we have sort of brought local Git up to date. The next step is to put this on GitHub. So here we go. Git push. We will use the GitHub CLI tool. GH repo create. Okay, and what that's going to do, make a repository, repo description, we'll call it make that public, and yes, of course, we want to create that in the current folder. Okay, that makes the repository, but you still do have to push, so git push. All right, and this is where it gets pretty interesting. Well, actually, Starport's pretty cool, too. Whole thing is interesting. So, here we go. What we're going to find is that we have two GitHub actions running. Okay, the first is just creating binaries for you. It's there just to kind of make things simple, right? You're going to always download your chain's latest binaries because this GitHub action does that for you. You got Windows, Mac, Linux, ARM, regular Intel AMD, and RISC-V. But there's more. And this is sort of the topic of this video. So if we go here to here, and we have a look at what's going on, right, what we're going to find is that this GitHub action, it builds the Clay4 blockchain as ARM64 binaries. It's going to leave those binaries as build artifacts just so that if you ever have to do any testing, there's a way to get those outside of the device image as well. Okay, and those are now done uploading, and okay, now we're into the meat of things. So this part here, what's going on? It is pulling a Docker image called Packer Builder ARM, and Packer Builder ARM is used to create a Raspberry Pi device image. So right now what it's doing is it's downloading the latest Ubuntu server software. And after it has fetched that, what it's going to do is configure that to run the Clay4 blockchain. Inside of this image, automatically generated, are systemd units. There are the binaries, of course. And all of this ends up getting copied into the image. Now, I figure, for brevity's sake, you know, I may cut this out of the video, I guess. Point. Because the build does take a while. Okay, so we could go ahead and we can kind of just pretend that it has successfully built. So Yay! The build has happened. Well, what then? Okay, so we would go back over our little terminal here, and we can SSH into a device generated like this, okay? Just so you know, when you first log in, the username and password will be Ubuntu, Ubuntu. All right, and let's have a look at like what this machine is doing, right? So, what can we see going on here? All right, well, we've got ClayD, that is the blockchain daemon, right? And we've got npm, when npm running, because it's serving a front end on port 8080. We also have zero tier, and what zero tier is doing is allowing this blockchain to have its own virtual LAN. It's a VPN technology, but we're not using it in this case to like shield our identity. Instead, we're using it to ensure that all of these nodes are on the same flat local network. And so if we go over here to okay, we can see the user interface. Now, this is as far as this one's going to go. I'm actually going to create a second in a moment. I hope you guys have a nice day. Bye now.